is not, and if they are making 51,200 brutto, all these numbers are brutto, then they would get 1,024 euros a month per year as a housing state subsidy. And from the government, what you get? Just a sec. Okay. From the government, you can get 700 euros if you're single, and if your income is 35,000. And if you're married and if you're earning 70,000, that's when you can get up to 1,400 euros or 10% of what you invest as the subsidy from the government. So 3 subsidies: the employer, the housing society, and the government. So when PS says next time that there are 400 subsidies, you can include these 3 into them. Okay? Does anybody have any question related to subsidies? I see Rajesh raising his hand.
Actually, can you able to record this session? That's it.
Google Meet, I don't think allows me to record.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can share the presentation later on.
Okay.
Okay.
Could you explain that last slide once more? Yeah, this one.
You
I did
mean
not get this one. No,
this one?
not this. No, the previous one. I did not get that.
This one?
No, the previous one.
This one?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. If you're single and if you are earning 25,600 euros brutto, that means taxable income, not taxed yet. That's when the housing society will give you 512 euros as subsidy per year. If you're married and if you're earning 51,200, the housing society gives you 1,024 euros a year as a subsidy. If your income is 17,900 as a single, your employer gives you 470 euros. If you are married and you have income of 35,800, the employer gives you 940 as a subsidy. So the maximum subsidy housing society can give is 8.8%. 9% is from the employer, and 10% is from the government. Yeah. Neelam, you have a question?
Yes.
Is it Neelam or in German Neelum? How do you call your name?
In normal English, it's Neelam, and Germans call it Nelum.
Okay, now we keep it normal then.
Because they pronounce A to E.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, this subsidy percentage is based on the total amount of your property or your income, or the total amount annually you are paying, or what?
Only the income. That's what I said. 35,000 is your brutto income. A single married 70,000.
So the employer.
I think I lost you.
So if the employer is paying 9%, that means he. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Now I can.
Hello?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So if the employer is paying 9%, that means the 9% of your annual brutto.
9% in terms of percentage, but maximum is up to 470 euros, whichever is higher number. Did you get it?
Okay. Okay.
So 9% or 470 euros, whichever is. Because sometimes, let's say 9% goes beyond 470, then he'll still get only 470.
Okay.
Okay, so that way.
Yes.
You mean whichever is less, right?
Whichever is less, correct. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. If you
for employer subsidy, so is there any term of you have worked already for this many years like that? Is there any?
No.
Okay.
See, that's the only criteria for you to find out the subsidy. You can scan the QR code. You can install this mobile application, tablet application. Just have to put what's the Familienstand, the married or the single, divorcee, a widow, how many kids they have, how many Arbeitnehmer, so how many people are employed. Are they falling into the category of Pflichtrentenversicherung? That means compulsory pension. So everybody who is salaried pays compulsory pension. What's the brutto income? VL. Does anybody know what's Vermögenswirksame Leistungen? VL, VL. This is also an extra money or subsidy given by the employer, but it is not compulsory for them to pay. It may or may not be given to your client. Okay? And then that's it. That's the only information you put over here, and the rest you find it over here on this side. That hey, if you see here, how much is the Arbeitnehmer Sparzulage, how much employer discount they're getting, or let's say benefit, and how much are they getting as a Wohngebauprämie, that means the housing society subsidy. So you can literally give your clients the numbers on the first call itself. You can give them up to the decimal digits. So it's super easy for them. Any questions up to this point? Cool. Let's move on to why would you buy a house with Bauspar and why would you buy a house with the bank? What happens when you take a housing loan? Does anybody know for how many years is the interest rate secured?
10 and 15 years.
Yes, correct. It's secured for the first 10 years. 15 years was a case, but I have not heard of any bank who is now giving for 15 years. Okay? So that what happens after 10 years, whatever is your remaining amount, that will be secured with a new interest rate in the market. So for that reason, you see a comparison of what happens with the bank loan and what happens with Bauspar. With the bank loan, there's a huge risk that the interest rate can change. With Bauspar, there is no risk because the interest rate is secured. It is written on your contract, as Neelam mentioned, 0.95 or 1.75, whichever option you choose. If the interest rate goes up, your EMI goes up, but in Bauspar, it just does not change. The third thing, if the interest rate reduces, yes, the payment decreases, but in the Bauspar, it still remains the same. Is there anybody over here who thinks that the interest rate will go back to what it was before pandemic, which was 0.8 or 1% or 1.2%? Is there anybody over here who thinks that? Exactly. So no, it's not going to be possible. So for that reason, you need a Bauspar, and so does your client. Okay, Priya, you have a question?
I heard that this, like with the Bauspar, also the interest rate are fixed for 10 years. Is it not correct?
No.
So once you take the Bauspar, so the interest rate fixed for like how long?
As long as you want. I mean, when, let's say if you made a contract of Bauspar of 100,000 euros, let's say for an example, and you achieved your 40% in 10 years. At the end of the 10th year, it's not compulsory for you to withdraw the remaining 60%. You can simply ask them to wait. And that waiting period could be as long as you want. There is no such deadline to it.
Okay.
You can even keep it for 20 years. Poonam, you have a question?
Sorry, I don't know whether this question is appropriate, but still.
Questions are always appropriate. Answers can be dumb and inappropriate.
But actually, customer view of point, this is very much attractive and everything. As you say, Bauspar is very nice, but what is the beneficiary for Bauspar if it does this? When the
So
market is going up and down, inflations and everything is going on. What's the beneficiary for Bauspar there?
so from every contract they will take up a cost, which is 1.6% of the Bauspar value. So if your client makes a Bauspar of 100,000 euros, they will charge him 1,600 euros. So that's the
Ah.
additional cost with the interest that you pay them back.
Mhm.
So does anybody know how does a chit fund works in India? Chit funds?
Yeah, I know.
Exactly, that's how Bauspar works.
Okay.
So let's say today you want to buy a house of 100,000 euros and you are saving 10,000 euros a year. How many years will it take you to buy this house? 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
But if there is a company where I, Rajesh, Pushpa, Priyanka, and other 6 people are depositing 10,000 each every year, and now there are such 10 people, you can buy the house right away in the very first year.
True.
Second year, maybe Neelam can buy. Third year, Rajesh can buy. Fourth year, Pushpa can buy. So now instead of each person who had to wait 10 years, in 10 years, 10 people can buy. That's exactly how Bauspar works. It's like a common place where everybody puts in their money, and anybody who wants to buy a house takes out the money. Super simple.
Okay.
Yes, Gaurav?
So my question is that how, for an example, there are 10 people are putting their money. So how it will be calculated that who will take the house first? For an example, if everyone
I
is
mean, the first criteria is that you have to reach 40% of the amount that you are planning to take out as a loan. So if you made a Bauspar of 100,000 euros, you should reach 40,000 euros of minimum saving. That's the first criteria.
okay,
So, and second is who had the oldest contract.
okay,
Because imagine if there is a rich person who has 40,000 lying in a bank account, I can literally open my Bauspar account with you, deposit overnight 40,000, and I can also be eligible.
yes,
But no, that's not how it
not.
works.
Okay.
So then you have to wait for 3-4 years at least so that you can get the loan. So first is the waiting period. First is the 40% meeting criteria. Second is the time, and third is something that's known as Bewertungszahl. It's a very, very technical word and it's automatically calculated by the system. It cannot be calculated by us. So, yes, that's also the third factor.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Poonam.
Then the way you said now 40% and all that, how can we at least think that layman can apply for Bauspar?
See, if you're putting in 400 euros a month, or let's say 500 euros a month, you're already saving 6,000 or 4,800 in a year. You keep on doing it for 5,000, 8 years, you have 40,000 in your bank account, and on the ninth year, you can buy a house. If you receive bonuses from your employer, you can put more money into it. If you have a property in India or anywhere in your home country, if you want to sell it and put more money into Bauspar, sure, you can do those things. Because when you buy a house, that's also when you are going to pay a lot of money to the bank. So instead of that, I would try to put that money into my Bauspar so that I get a cheaper loan.
Okay. So
The-
without having 40% in my hand, I can't apply for Bauspar and I can't reserve my.
No, that does not mean you need to have 40% right away.
Okay.
You need to save it into your Bauspar account over the period of time.
Okay.
You decide you want to save 40% in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that's up to you.
But Bauspar account I can open anytime.
Correct.
Okay.
But yes, you can open that account any point of time.
That's what, whenever the confidence I'm having, I can start on that day.
Yes.
But the thing is, it applies only after me saving 40% in my Bauspar account.
Correct. if you're able to save 40%, you get an
Mhm.
interest rate of 1.75. If you're able to save 50%, you get an interest rate of only 0.95. Literally the interest rate that people had back in the time, 2018, 2019.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So no questions till here?
Vidit, if somebody wants, have a plan within 2 years, buying house, or somebody has started this Bauspar, and after starting in within 2 years or 1 year, he got a very good deal. Then what will happen? Like, he cannot use until this Bauspar plan if he cannot save 40%. And to
There
save
is
that
one more
40%, he has to wait for 8 years. Then what is the difference with taking the Bauspar and bank loan?
So that's what I said, that I would not take a Bauspar, or I would not suggest it to the client who wants to buy a house in next 2 years or 1 year, because he or she is already too late. But definitely that client, if you check his housing loan contract, would be having an outstanding amount at the end of the 10th year. Okay, so he then has to try to secure that amount with the help of Bauspar. So that means in parallel to he or she paying the housing loan EMI, they can also start putting money into the Bauspar so that they save or achieve or reach 40-50% whatever they want to over the period of time. Because imagine after 10 years, the bank coming and telling you, hey, the interest rate is now 6%. So we refinance your outstanding amount at 6%. What will the client do? That's the huge risk.
So you are telling that in Bauspar, like for the interest rate, we can save it for the 30 years. Like now, like when we take the loan from bank, it is for 20 years or 30 years. And as we know that the bank interest rate is fixed for 10 years, and you are saying that no interest rate risk in the Bauspar. So like if my loan is going till 30 years, so that the interest rate is fixed for the this full 30 years, it will be same. It won't change.
No.
Even though I'm buying house after 10 years, right? Because I have to accumulate that 40%.
That's correct. See, when you make a contract, 10 years is the time period that comes by default. So that is for sure, it's not going to change. But it also is mentioned in your contract that if the client does not want to withdraw at the end of the 10th year, he or she has the right to hold the investment as long as they want. So it's not a compulsion that you have to withdraw at the end of 10th year. You can do it at the end of 12th year, 15th year, 18th year, up to you. But definitely you can't do it when you're 95 years old. Okay, because then there is nobody to pay back. So make sure that age is also an important factor. I mean, I can't tell the bank to or Bauspar company to hold it till I'm 85. What if I die at 86? There's nobody to pay it back. So that's also an important factor. Yeah.
ये बाउस बैंक जो भी है ये क्या है?
I have another question.
मतलब तुम पैसा तो डाल दो, but
So, how they can pay that money? So it's like SIP they can pay, any like a fixed compulsory they have to pay monthly.
Three ways to pay the money. The first is you can either start to save a certain amount every month for sure. Let's say if the client chooses 1,000 or 500 or 2,000 whatsoever. The second way is to make a one-time payment every year. So let's say if your client is receiving Christmas bonus, vacation bonus once a year, he or she can decide at the beginning of the contract that, hey, I would be receiving 10,000 every year. I want to put 3,000, maybe just 2,000, whatever they want to do. And the third way is they can say, hey, my bank balance right now is 50,000 euros, and I would like to park 50,000 up front into my Bauspar so I can reach my 40% ASAP.
It's basically for housing thing.
Neelam?
So,
okay.
For example, if the person for 100,000 euros, he made the Bauspar plan, and the first year, if he the minimum amount should be there. So, for example, as you said, 2,000 or 3,000 euro, in each year, minimum amount he should drop it in the Bauspar plan.
कलेक्ट करके रखो, बाकी का
And
पैसा
later in the second
दूसरे
year,
से दे
third
रहे
year
ऐसा वो
also
लोग
he
दिखा
can
रहे हैं,
put
वो
it
बेसिकली
bulk
फाइनेंस
amount
कर रहे
also.
हो
In the
फिर तो वही
maximum
अलाउड
any
होगा।
limit is there?
Nope.
Okay.
और ऐसे में फिर वो जो पैसा एक्स्ट्रा दे रहे हो
So
उसका
for
interest
example,
rate
in
कम
the
होगा।
initial years, he is like dropping 2,000 euros, first year 2,000 euros, second year 3,000 euro. Then in the third year, he is like dropping 15,000 or 20,000 euros.
Not
So
a problem.
again, in the fourth year, he want the loan. He want to take the loan.
No, he can't get it because then it's like misusing the Bauspar. Let's say like me giving you 2,000 euros every year, and on the ninth year I suddenly drop in the rest 35,000 to increase my eligibility. No, that's not how it works. Because if you bring in lump sum amount, then for sure there has to be a waiting period. I think that's the example I gave to, I don't know, Priyanka, Poonam or Neelam in the beginning, that if there's a rich guy who has 40,000 right away,
Yeah,
I can do the payment overnight, right? But then that does not mean I am eligible for the loan. Certainly, I will have to wait for 3 years, 4 years. I'll have to contact Bauspar company for that and ask how much is the waiting period as of today. If they say maybe you can get it next year or maybe 3 years, 4 years, it depends. That's the answer also which I told to Gaurav, that if somebody brings up immediately, it depends on the Bauspar company who gets the next loan.
Okay.
So not necessarily your client.
Okay, it's depend on individual case how much cooling period they have to be. So there is no fixed term like 3 years they have to wait like.
No. But I think the minimum for now is 3 to 4 years for sure. That's the minimum.
Okay, when they drop the lump sum, so that time they have to like wait for cooling period 3 years.
Yes, but never commit a number to your client. It's always good to check with Badenia first and then tell it to your client.
Okay. Yeah.
तुम्हारा
Thanks.
खुद का वो एक
You're
thing
welcome.
रहेगा, मतलब instead of putting
Neelam, you have a question?
उधर efforts डाल के भी पता भी नहीं है ना।
If you
उधर हम
invest
efforts
per
डालेंगे
month,
तो
is there any minimum amount limit?
6 महीने में समझ आ जाएगा कि वहाँ एफर्ट डाल के फायदा है क्या।
As far as I remember, it's 173 euros a year.
More risk, more फायदा. It is like that.
Okay.
173 or 175? I don't
More
remember
risk
the
में
exact
वही
one.
है
I'll have to
तुम्हारा।
check. But yeah, that's the minimum.
More risk
But you
में
know,
तो सारे जाएंगे।
putting the minimum amount is not going to benefit your client itself. Because he has to reach 40,000, 50,000. See, first of all, no houses for 100,000 euros in Germany. Impossible. The average price, what I have observed, is 300,000. At least if you want to have 2 or 3 rooms apartment. When I talk about the Wohnung, which is a house, or Einfamilien house, which is a complete house, including the garden area and everything, that could also go up to 500, 600,000 depending upon the city, and also how far you stay from the city center. So if I would be putting 173 or 200 euros a year, imagine how many years I'll take to reach 40% of that. So if there is a client with such low income group, I would ask them to first check how many subsidies they can get. And as you saw, you get it from employer, you get it from the state, and you get it from the building housing society.
Okay. And like the other investment plans, we get insurance for our amount. So is there any insurance with it?
No.
So if something happens to the bank or that company and your money is gone, then it's gone.
I would say that thing is next to impossible, because whenever the word money or euro is involved, there are many regulatory bodies who make sure that your money is safe. The question is as similar to me asking Deutsche Bank, what if my salary is credited to your account and tomorrow you close your doors, your branches, and you run away? So, I don't know about Pakistan, but I think when I'll give you a reference, you will also be able to recall your institute in the country. For example, in India, we have SEBI and RBI, Reserve Bank of India. The way in Europe, we have European Central Bank. We have regulatory bodies like BaFin, BAFIN. We have other insurance companies who would provide insurance for the banks. Okay, the way they insure you, they also provide insurance for the banks. And also, These financial institutes, it's not that they can simply close their doors, offices, and just go away, because also they have a lot of assets. They have their own offices, they have lands, buildings, and so on as well. So it's as equal as me asking, what if Google shuts down tomorrow or Amazon shuts down tomorrow? No, that does not happen.
Okay.
Because Bauspar as a concept is in Germany since 18, 1815 or 1825. So it's very long back history. And as a concept, Bauspar, can anybody tell me where did it start and in which country?
Bauspar.
300 BC in China. So it's not a new thing. It's a super, super, super old concept. It's just that everybody has a new name. Like in India, chit funds, here, Bauspar, that's it. Okay?
Okay.
No more questions at this slide. Let's jump on to the next one. So let's say, for example, yes, let's take this one. My client told me that, hey, I want to build a sum of 25,000 euros. This is just an example. Nothing happens in 25,000 euros today. But my client said, my target is to have 25,000 euros in 7.5 years. That means my client has to do savings of the first 40%. 40% of 25,000 is 10,000. This is what my client saves. 15,000 is what he gets as a loan at an interest rate of 2.45. This is also just an example. So that means this is how it works for him, that he only brings 40 and the 60 is given by the Bauspar company. The same way, if he just wants to have 6,000, 2,400 he brings, 3,600 is what is given by the Bauspar company. That's how simple concept of Bauspar works. You bring in 40, I give you 60. Or you bring in 50, I give you 50. Yes, Poonam.
Can I take this Bauspar loan amount and convert it into our home country?
No.
Okay.
The condition is that the real estate should be bought within the borders of Germany. You can't even buy a house in Switzerland. Rajesh?
Yeah. Okay, for example, a person, he want to buy a house after 5 years. So he's like fixing on 100,000 euros. But it's 5 years, right? So inflation, due to inflation, definitely the house values, everything will increase. So he can, after making a 100,000 euro contract, he can increase that one.
Yes. For that reason, I will always make a Bauspar for 150,000, not 100,000, exactly considering the inflation factor. But if the client wants to make 100,000 first and later on increase it to 150, 200, absolutely, that's possible.
Okay. So the minimum of what we minimum we said already 173 only. So, okay.
I'll confirm it. I'm not so sure. I'll confirm it. But
yeah, okay.
Okay. Shreyal, you have a question?
Yeah. In the example that you said about 25,000 loan, why the interest rate is 2.45%?
Anything that's less than 50,000 euros has an interest rate of 2.25 to 2.45. Any amount between 50,000 to 100,000 has an interest rate of 2% to 2.25. Anything beyond 100,000 has an interest rate of 1.75. With the condition you bring in 40, they give you 60. Anything above 100,000 has an interest rate of 0.95. If you bring in 50 and they give you the rest 50.
Okay.
Yeah. And also making a Bauspar of 50,000 or 100,000 will do no benefit to your client, right? Because you can't buy a house with 50,000. You can't even renovate the house with 50,000, to be honest. If you just go to any repair company and ask them for a new kitchen, try to go to IKEA, and if you see the new kitchen price, 15, 20,000 is super nominal price just for the kitchen. Not included refrigerators, and your mixers and your oven and so on. So that's why I would make it for 100,000 or more than that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yes, Neelam.
So, if a client make a contract of 40%, and meanwhile during his waiting time, meanwhile he completes the amount of 50%, is it possible that at that time when he takes the loan he says, okay, now I have 50%, so I will take the loan on 50% interest rate?
Possible, but we need to take permission from Badenia. I mean, he can't take the decision today to change it and tomorrow ask for a loan. So we have to talk to Badenia first, if they have the room, enough time to change it. Because understand, initially they were prepared for the lending versus saving ratio of 1 is to 1.5, right? 60-40 is 1 is to 1.5. And now we are suddenly changing is to 1 is to 1. 50 is to 50 is 1 is to 1 ratio. So that's when you also need to ask Badenia, hey, is it possible? If yes, how are the conditions now? So I would sit with my client and ask him to make the decision, a good decision for himself or herself at the very first day. Because it's a house. So it's a big decision. It's not a smaller one.
Okay. Yes.
Anybody else? So now I think Neelam, Poonam, Rajesh and Shreyal will do a lot of Bauspar. Who are your coaches? Neelam, who's your coach? Firoza? No.
Farida.
Okay, so we see a lot of units from Farida, from Rajesh. Poonam, who's yours?
Megha Agarwal.
Okay, so Megha has a lot of units now. And Shreyal, who's yours? Irshad?
Megha.
Megha. Wonderful. So it's a lot of units from Megha's team. Okay. Yes, Rajesh, question.
So once we start the Bauspar plan, so is there any effect on the current interest rate? Maybe it is reduced drastically. People can utilize that interest rate also. That plays any role?
You stop your break, or you break your Bauspar contract, and you take the loan from the market if it goes below that point. I can withdraw all of my money. What I lose is the cost that I paid in the beginning, which is 1.6%. That is only what I lose. And I can take it from the market.
Okay. So I can't.
The remains still the same. The market is going to give you interest for fixed for 10 years. What about after that? So in any given condition, so if you read online a lot of reports by the experts, there is no sign that the interest rate goes back to the old price. But you will always meet some clients who are too optimistic about the government and about the economic situation of the country. We can't really do much about those clients. Let them stay in that bubble, I could say. You can educate them, but it's hard to convince. But yes, that's why Bauspar gives you so many units.
Yes. In the beginning, you said like the ECB, European Central Bank, they decide about the interest rate.
Yes.
So it means in Europe, the real estate inflation is completely common in all the countries.
I didn't say real estate inflation is controlled by ECB. I said the interest rate is controlled by ECB. It's a huge difference in that. Real estate appreciation, depreciation works on a lot of factors. which area is it? Is it centrally located? How old is the building? It's renovated, it's not renovated. What's the energy class? That has got nothing to do with the interest rates on the loan. So loan interest rates is a different market, and real estate is a different market. They're not related to each other.
Okay.
Because tomorrow it can also happen that the interest rate in the market increases to 6%, and the real estate prices drop to 50% or 40%, because we have a war with Russia. Who knows?
No, the real estate mean the loan only, home loan only.
Yeah.
I said about the home loan.
Yes,
Not
they
exact
are the
real estate.
one, right? They are the one. But it's not similar for the entire Europe. It differs. For example, in Poland it's different, Spain it's different, in Germany it's different.
Okay. So it means the ECB plays the major role, but
Yes.
Apart from that, each country have some
Yes.
extra additional.
Every bank works differently in every country.
Okay.
For example, Deutsche Bank works differently in India than how they work here, right? So, for example, Alliance, who is our partner, they work differently here than compared to in India. How are they called in India? How is Alliance called in India?
Bajaj Alliance.
Correct. How is Generali called in India?
Future Generali.
Perfect. See? But then the working over there is different. So it's based on every country. Good point, Gaurav, because very few people know that General is also in India with the name Future General. They know Bajaj Alliance because of the loans they give, but not major people know about Generali. Cool. Any questions, guys?
Yes. This 1.6% which you pay initially is the 1.6% of your first payment?
No, of the Bauspar value. So if the Bauspar is of 100,000 euros, you pay 1,600 euros as a cost.
Okay.
If the Bauspar is 500,000, you pay 8,000 euros as a cost. If the Bauspar is of 1 million, you pay 16,000 as a cost.
Okay.
But cost is not something that's paid upfront. It is deducted every month out of your savings. I mean, it depends on the client how they want to pay.
Okay.
Anybody else? Questions? No questions? A lot of questions. Let's try to do it this way. Try to think like a client. Imagine you all are my client, and I have pitched or proposed the Bauspar to you. What will be your question? Let's do it that way. Yes, Poonam.
Is this only the criteria Bauspar is having, that 40% of money and only so much? There is nothing else?
40%, you should have paid the cost and the waiting period, as I said.
Okay.
Not that you can bring the 40% overnight and get the loan next day. So that is the thing. 40% is the second thing. Third is the cost. You should have paid the cost as well of the contract. There should not be any pending cost of this 1.6%. And the fourth factor is the Bewertungszahl, but that's a very technical thing. You can ignore that one, but 3 for sure.
Leaving this there, you don't have anything as such, like you should be the citizen of Germany or something as such?
No. That's the advantage of Bauspar, in fact. Don't need such conditions that you should have a PR, you should have a passport, blah, blah, blah. No.
Okay. I was this part I understood. I was asking about the external things, like should we be the citizen of Germany or something as such?
No. I mean, even today, if you have the cash,
Mm-hmm.
200, 300,000, you don't even need anything to buy a house. You can just buy it straight away.
Even though if we don't have PR, you mean?
No.
Okay.
Even though if you're on ICT visa.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Gaurav.
So can we summarize it in this way that we can say that if somebody invests 400 euros for 12 months, so it will be 4,600. It 1.6% will be deducted for the cost, and he will he will need to have at least 40% of the amount of the property which he wanted to invest in.
40% of the value of the Bauspar contract that you make.
Okay.
If you make a Bauspar contract of 500,000, your client needs to have 200,000. If you make a Bauspar of 100,000, client needs to have 40,000. If you make a Bauspar of 200,000, client needs to have 80,000.
And till the time he don't invest, so he will still be getting every year roughly 2.5%
Of?
in of what he has invested. Like
No, that's the interest for the loan that he takes.
Okay.
Why will he earn 2.5% on it? It's not an investment. It's the savings account for your house. You're putting money into it, but you get a guarantee on the interest rate for the loan that you will take in future. And it's not 2.5, it's 1.75, and it's 0.95.
How do you decide like 1.75 and 0.
If you bring in 40%, I give you 1.75. If you bring in 50% of the savings, we give you 0.95. The only criteria.
So like I have taken a Bauspar of 100,000 euro, okay? 40,000 I have to save. So the remaining 60,000 I am getting the interest rate of 1.75, right?
Excellent.
Actually 58,400 because I have to pay a 1,600 one time amount also.
But then that is additional 200,000 of what you pay 1,600 euros. So it's 100,000 and 1,600. It's not 1,600 is not deducted out of 100,000.
Okay, that is the extra I am paying.
Exactly. It's like I buy this watch for 100 euros and then I pay the VAT 20% on it. So 20 euros is extra, but 100 euros is the cost of the watch.
So more I save, less I get the interest rate.
Excellent. That's correct. Just give me 1 second. Someone is at my door. I'll be back. Till then, you can form more questions.
Guys, in the meantime, if somebody has not written your attendance, please mention it in the chat box, please.
Thanks for reminding.
Okay. Back. Question time, guys. Yeah, Sharat.
So is there any allowance if we can get a contract for 20% or 30% of the savings if I'm making?
If you're not able to reach 40%, that's when Badenia gives you something that is known as bridge over loan.
Mhm.
So first they will give you a loan to reach the 40%, and then the loan on the rest 60%. But this bridge over loan will be given out to you on the live interest rate in the market.
Okay.
So let's say you made a Bauspar of 100,000.
Mhm.
Ideally, you had to save 40,000, but you could only save 20,000.
Yeah.
So the Bauspar gives you first 20,000 on loan
Mhm.
at the interest rate in the market, which could be anything.
Mhm.
And once you reach 40,
Mhm.
that's when they give you the other 60,000 on a loan which was decided, which is 1.75.
Okay.
But that is the most expensive way. I would never recommend my client doing it. It's super expensive.
Of course, this is very expensive too.
It's like you paying two interest rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also on that 20 and also on the 60.
And that
But if I'm only making a 30% of contract, is that allowed, or only like 40 or 50% is allowed with?
There is no such condition that you get loan at 30%. You have to make it 40 or 50.
Okay, that was the question.
Yes.
And other than monthly payments, is it allowed to make 3 months once, quarterly, or 6 months once?
I think you asked this question, Rajesh, you are right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I understood like he can make a yearly payment once, but
You can make as many payments as you want. So if you say this month I saved 50 euros extra from my grocery bill, I would like to put this into my Bauspar, yes, you can.
no, I do not want to make a monthly contract. I want to pay only 3 months once.
You can do it. Quarterly, half yearly, yearly, everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Shreyal.
yeah. So if I take a loan for the balance 60%, do I need to pay back that 60% loan in next 10 years or any time limit?
Normally what I have seen is it's 7 years or 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but if you say I want to change this, sure, you can.
Okay, so you can accumulate first the 40% in 10 years or any time limit?
Anytime. It's up to you.
Okay,
so I give you, where is the example?
Mm-hmm.
I would share my screen just a sec. Oh, for the people who are asking me interest rate, you can take photo of this table up till what amount, what interest rate you get. As I said, anywhere between 25 to 50,000, you get 2.45. Between 50 and 100, you get 2.14 to 2.46 or 1.95, let's say. Anything above 100,000, you get 1.75. If you bring in 50%, you get 0.95. By the way, for the money that you save in your Bauspar account, you also earn interest on it, which is 0.05%. So it's not a big amount, but yes. And let's say this is an example of a calculation. 100,000 euros, my client is contributing 400 euros. He or she will be eligible for the loan if they keep on doing it the same way. On 15th of February 2033, when they take a loan in 2033, they will end the loan in the next, I think by 2041 or 2040, 7 years. And the EMI they will pay in future is going to be around about 600, 800 euros. Not much. So imagine the value of 600 euros in the year 2033. Nothing. Almost zero. That's why.
So after 7-8 years, They have to pay like the current interest rate.
No,
They will
it
finish.
takes 7 years to be debt free. Super simple. Normally with Bauspar, if you want, you can extend it to 10 years as well. I mean, as long as you take to pay back that 60%, that's why we are securing the interest rate with Bauspar, so that does not change.
Okay.
Who raised the hand first, Shriyal or Neelam? I think Neelam, yeah, because you were raised since last time.
Yes. First question is, can you explain the 0.05% again?
I mean, if you put 100 euros into it, you get 5 cents. You earn 50 cents on it. Yeah, just a sec. 100 euros. 5% is 5 euros. 0.05 is 50 cents. You get 5 cents on every 100 euros that you put into your Bauspar account.
Okay. Okay. And the next question is, like, while saving, when you have extra money, you can save it. But
Correct.
while paying off your credit, when you have extra money, can you pay it?
Depends with the condition again at the Badenia. For such special conditions, we always have to ask them if they will allow it or not. Ideally, they should allow it, but for such answers, I would always take or ask them first. So you are AL or VM? VM or AL?
What is this?
No. You are still a VM, VBA or AL?
I don't know what is this.
VM.
She's a VM? Okay. So when you go to AL or above, you can directly write an email to Badenia. Or we also have the contact person. You can reach out to them. And that's when they can give you that, when you give them the contract number and name of the client, that's when they can answer these questions for you.
Okay.
Special repayment, right?
Yes, which in German is known as Sondertilgung. For the people who have inquired ever about house or plan to buy a house, they would be knowing what is Sondertilgung. Special payments.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's another advantage of becoming AL. You can directly reach out to people from Deutsche Bank, Commerzbank, Badenia for your clients. And these contact people are exclusively for us. So maybe for North region or so on and so forth. For our direction sometimes. Yes, Shreya, we had a question.
Yeah, the time limit to pay off bridge over loan.
There is also something when you apply for the bridge over loan, that's when they make a new contract with the client, and those conditions are mentioned over there, because we don't know firstly what interest will be there on the bridge over loan. It really depends on what will be the life interest rate at that point of time, and also how much amount they are taking and how much EMI they are comfortable with. So these specific questions would come up or would be answered automatically when we reach that stage and the contract has to be made for a bridge over loan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No more questions? If you're shy to ask questions, tomorrow your clients will ask you the same questions. Yes.
Vidit, can we advise this Bauspar to the 40-year-old man? Because he has to wait for another 10 years to buy the house. By that time,
if he goes with the housing loan, he's still going to take 20 years to pay it off. With Bauspar, he can also pay it off in 20 years, 10 years to save and 10 years to pay back. So there, I won't say time is really making any difference to him. In fact, with the Bauspar, at least he knows what interest rate he's going to pay, because maybe at 55, if he stops working because of health reason, and let's say the interest rate goes up to 6%, that's when your client is screwed up. Okay, or maybe he has got no more money, so the age where he needs money for his health, he's giving money for the house. So what will he choose, health over the roof? So yeah, for sure, you can you can certainly recommend. Bauspar is for everybody who wants to buy a house, even for a person who is 50 years old. Not for a person who is 65 years old for sure, but 50 years, sure, still can go for Bauspar. Your name is Shramana? Shramana?
Yeah, hi, Shraman.
Hi,
So
Shramana.
I have very weird question. Like, if someone dies between this time frame, what will happen?
So always the contract are made with the wife or the husband, so with the spouse. If you're single,
Or if anyone is single, then
if you have a will, well and good, it goes to the person who is going to inherit your money. If not, it goes with the government. That's unfortunately the German rule. Not only with this contract, with any contract. If you have a scalable account, if you have a mutual fund, if you did not make a will, everything is being enjoyed by the government. So, regardless of your age, it's always good to make a will, especially in this country.
thank you.
You're welcome. Who has a question next? No one? Yes, Poonam.
Why don't you explain something about cons also? Only pros we are speaking. We are speaking only about the advantages. Why can't you speak about the disadvantage? What are the difficulties or what are the things, disadvantages like when we take Bauspar comparatively to the government loan?
The only disadvantage is if the interest rate really drops below the interest rate that is written on your contract.
That will never happen, like in this.
So it's like me. If it's like you asking me, what is disadvantage of buying gold?
Okay.
So what is disadvantage of having Kohinoor in my museum? So because that's the reality, and to be honest, Bauspar is something that's known as hedging. So that's the task for today. Go and read what is hedging. If you don't know, if you know, good. Hedging is always done by a lot of companies around the globe. It's just that common people do not know, so they don't do it. But if you ask me what's the disadvantage, a client can also say, with it, instead of putting 600 euros in Bauspar, I can put 600 euros in mutual fund, into VA, and I can have more returns out of it. I can put 600 euros into ETF. I can put the same 1000 euros into not fixed deposit. That won't give much benefit. But yeah, let's say a nice mutual fund, for example, the one that we offer, DWS US Growth, that gave last year 40% of return. So the client can say, hey, how about I put my money into it? But that's a disadvantage. That definitely the money that you're putting in Bauspar does not grow. 400 stays 400 even after 10 years. The other disadvantage could be the price of the apartment that you were thinking. Suddenly, because of huge demand, the same house is now worth 800,000, double. So those are the disadvantages for sure. Yes, Priyanka.
With it, can you explain me this thing like if I go the basic flat, to buy, so it will cost around 300,000 euro, but I took the Bauspar of 100,000 euro. Okay, and in 100,000, I was not able to get this 40,000. I suppose saved around 30,000 euro or 25,000 euro. So out of 300,000, I have invested, like my flat is 300,000. It costs 300,000 euro, and I already saving my money in Bauspar of 100,000 euro. So for 60,000, I am getting 1.75, and for the 10,000 euro, I have to pay the bridge over loan, which
That's
is
correct.
I don't know. Suppose we take the scenario from the present scenario. It's like 5%. Okay. So 5% is, and the remaining 200,000 euro, I have to take the loan from the bank.
Or the other way around. I would keep my 30,000 as it is. I would still save 10,000 plus in the next 10 years. I would right now take a housing loan of 300,000 euros. At the end of the 10th year, when there is a remaining amount, that's when I will use the Bauspar and do the payment of 100,000, yes, with the bank. So then what I'm left with is almost negligible. Don't forget, Bauspar is also something used to pay back with the loan.
Okay.
So you can use, it depends on your client, whichever is cheaper and comfortable with him or her. I would choose the second option.
So like 300,000, I have to, repay for 30 years. And then I have to, in the end, I have to start repaying this for the 7-8 years.
Yes.
So it is a 37 or 38 years.
You can say so. Okay. Neelam, you have a question?
Yes. So when you sign a contract with the Bauspar, you should have the exact value or some property in your hand, like you're looking for this property A and it costs this much, and for that amount you are signing the contract, or you just plan it, okay, in future I will buy a property for 500 euros, so I'm making the
question.
Sorry?
The second part of your question is the answer.
Okay.
Any amount that your client thinks he wants to buy in future, or if he stays in Munich, he knows that as per his requirements, which is a swimming pool, a garden, I don't know, a penthouse that cost him 2 million, yeah, then Bauspar should be 2 million. If they say, I want to stay very, very far away from city center, I want nothing, just one room studio apartment, then make a Bauspar of 100,000. So it depends on what really they want to buy. Okay, then, yes, Rajesh.
So when we buy the house after 5 years or some XYZ years, so for example, it is 100,000 euro, but we made the contract like Bauspar plan, it's a few 150,000, and we made 25% of the Bauspar plan only. That time I will be recording only the remaining 75,000 euros as a loan.
I didn't get your question.
Much like how to frame this one. Okay, so for example, Bauspar plan, he planned extra, but the property is getting for less price. For that less price, he already made 40% of the Bauspar savings.
He get his money back, not a problem.
Okay.
Money back?
See the property of 100,000, give me back my other extra money I have saved. The bank will give it back to you. Simple. The only loss of him was he over evaluated the property or his goal, and that's why he paid 1.6% extra on the 50,000. So that's client's problem, not our problem. But in reality, that's not going to happen. So
yeah, may not be.
Okay. The task for you is to submit the advertisements by Wednesday. I hope you understood all the advantage, all the benefits Bauspar gives. So please submit it in the group and make sure to make it as creative as possible, as lucrative as possible. And that's the task. And also please read about hedging so you know what hedging is. And think like a client, not like an advisor. That's when it gives you, or you come up with more and more questions. Okay? So I hope I tried my best to answer all of your questions and to explain it to you, the Bauspar, in the easiest, in the most layman language. If you still have any questions, please drop it into the group so others can also learn from your questions. Till then, I wish everybody a pleasant evening. Regards to your family. Till then, bye-bye. Take care. See you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vidit.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Vidit.
Thanks, Vidit. Bye.
Bye.